Hi, I'm Katherine Ramsland. I'm the author of 73 books and thousands of articles and blogs and reviews. And I've recently written a crime fiction series based on some of the things I do. I'm a professor of forensic psychology. I consult with death investigators and I talk to serial killers. So a lot of the work that I do in reality shows up in my novels. The four book series that I recently wrote, the Nutcracker Investigations, is a series that I wanted to introduce readers to unique forensic methodologies. So, in the first novel, Ice Cream Man, I introduce you to Annie Hunter, who is a forensic psychologist who runs a PI agency. Her partners are Aidan Scott, a PI, and Natra Golani, who's a dog handler and also a data miner, and she organizes the cases and keeps everybody on track. I also have an attorney. I have a few other outside people who are part of her team, but more in the periphery. And she has a 9-year-old daughter who also gets involved. She has a digital examiner part-time who fills in. But each novel has a different type of unique forensic methodology. In the first one, Annie Hunter, who's a suicidologist, uses psychological autopsy and demonstrates how it works and analyzes some suicide notes and talks about what that means to be able to understand suicidology and staged homicides to look like suicides, etc. In the second novel, in The Damaged Path, what I did there was use a methodology that um, is a sensing system that mounts to a drone that can fly over trees to check the leaves of the trees to see if there are any trees that potentially have absorbed the juices of a decomposing body. And on the ground, they use cadaver dogs to confirm, what they're finding, with the drone. And so that's done with a forensic meteorologist, a woman named Jolynn Wild. And that introduces you to a technology that is in use, but maybe you've never heard of, because very few people have heard of forensic meteorology. But I wanted to bring that into the novel. And using that methodology, they're able to find a body that has been missing for a while. And then the third novel, I use more digital forensics. It's called Dead Handed. It's set in Concord, Massachusetts. And there's some spooky stuff with that one. But I'm really excited about the fourth novel, You Can't Hide, because I had the opportunity to go to a week-long forensic art course where the subject was learning to draw from decomposed, even almost skeletonized faces to render what the person had looked like in life from the measurements of the facial features that you have. And so, I mean, it's challenging when somebody has been found after a while and there's not much left of their face, but there are specific types of measurements and things that you use from various facial features to find characteristics of the person so that you can estimate fairly well what the person distinctly looked like so that somebody who knew that person would recognize them from your drawing. And interestingly, I'd sent Aidan Scott, my PI, fictionally to this class in Dead Handed. And I talk about that a little bit in the beginning of Dead Handed before they get into all the action. And then while that novel was in the production process, I was invited to actually attend the class myself and see what it was like. I mean, I have some drawing skills, so I was very excited to go. It was at the University of Texas at San Marcos, There's a special facility that was on the Body Farm in Texas, which is the largest facility in the United States for laying out the dead to study them. There's a forensic anthropology facility associated with it. So it was really exciting to be able to be there during the week-long class and learn from Karen Taylor, who has written probably the definitive book on forensic art. And she does forensic drawing and sculpture. In fact, there's a class right now going on where she is doing the sculpture part, but I didn't go to that one. I like the drawing and I wanted to learn how to use that. And as soon as the class was done, I was right in the middle of writing Dead Handed, and I went right to the airport and wrote up everything I needed for that chapter where they had found a skull of, in an area where they thought person they were looking for had gone missing. And so there was nothing around the skull that would help with the identification. But Aidan was able to use the tools he had just learned in this class to create what he thought would be the rendition of this person's face. And the way we worked it in the class was that Karen had cases of people that had been identified. So you have the decomposed face, and you have the final, what the person did look like. So then you can do all the measurements and do the details and whatnot to see how close you came to what that person looked like. And the more you do this, the better you get. And Aidan already was an artist, so he just polished his skills and learned a lot of the measurements and things that are used. And so he renders that then in the chapter. That's the methodology I use for that particular plot point. So I had an interesting time learning it myself, but also being able to present it to readers. So each of these 4 novels, and there's going to be just 4 in the series, each of them comes out with a really unique and probably something you haven't heard much about, but you learn things about these methodologies while you're also learning about the characters and, moving along with the plot. So I hope that, you'll enjoy it. I certainly enjoyed learning these things myself and writing about them. Thank you.